use, right? Okay.
Yes. Do you have her intro in front of you? Do you have the bio? Yeah. Okay. Should I start then? Okay. Hello, fellow lobsters. Welcome to the next episode of LOL, Love of Literature. And now we are in season 2, and it gives us immense pleasure that you've been supporting us through the whole of entire, season 1, and finally we have moved on to season 2, and we're bringing in more and more authors from India and outside of India, from everywhere, from Singapore, from the US, and all that. And I'm very happy that today we have with us an author who's Subhashini Prasad, and I would like for Ms. Jainti to give a formal introduction.
Subhashini Prasad is an MBA graduate from the Indian School of Business, and she quit her banking job to pursue her passion for writing. Her first book, Not Really Indian, is a collection of 10 short stories about women who have lived in India and abroad. It ranked among Amazon's 50 bestsellers in the first month of release and has over 100 reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. Outlook India and the Statesman named the collection as the must-read anthology for 2021. In 2020, she won runner-up Beyond the Box Storyteller of the Year award. She has also written a children's story called Who and How, published on Story Weaver. Recently, Deccan Chronicle named her among 10 personalities to have ventured into a field unknown to them. Subhashini currently lives in London with her husband and 2 children. In her spare time, she loves dancing and doing yoga. Welcome, Subhashini, to LOL Season 2. We are so blessed to have you as our guest speaker. So,
thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, and I love the name LOL, Love of Literature, very creative.
Yes.
Only writers can come up with that. So thank you so much.
Yes, for that's Danya's idea. In fact, LOL by itself, the theme itself came from her, because we have known each other for 3 years now, and my first book connected, the manuscript of my first book connected us, and she has been learning things from me, and she said, we have to, do something that many people learn from you,
Yeah.
So that's when we came up with this idea, and she coined it as Love of Literature. We all love literature. Does literature love us? So Love of Literature. So that's how it came about. And today, coming to your questions, Danya will go first.
Sure. Yeah, Subhashini, how was the transition from banking to writing? Like, was it something that you did through while you were still doing a banking job? Were you still using your spare time to write, or was it like a welcome escape from the mundane of a banking job, or did you just hit a point where you were just tired of everything and just jumped from everything else to writing?
Yeah, so I was a banker and a consultant for almost 10 years, but I've always been a writer, even before that. So I used to write in school, poetry, short stories, and I used to write as a let out. And I also had this idea for Not Really Indian long before I was a banker, because I have lived outside my whole life. I grew up in Indonesia, and then I did my college in US, and then I moved to India. So moving back to India was very new to me. So this story was always in the back of my mind, saying as a young woman or as a mother, how my relationship with India has changed from when I was a child. At heart, I'm always Indian, but I cannot let the Indonesian go out of me or the American go out of me. So while I was always a career woman, I used to write. And this story started when around 2009, I started writing it. but I never really got the time because banking and consulting demands a lot of your time, sometimes even your weekends. And with that, it also drains you of your creative energy. So I took that call, almost a leap of faith, to go into writing full time because I wanted the story to come out, the not really Indian story to come out. That was my biggest motivator. The transition to writing was good because I loved it. I was doing this full time, and I really enjoyed it. But there were also, and I tell this in almost all my sessions, that there is a financial instability that comes with writing because it's not the best paying industry, right? I mean, or it takes a while before you establish. That should be the last motivator for you to do it. Yes. So it was a drastic jump in terms of career change, but I enjoyed the writing bit. What I didn't realize the challenges would be is making a name out there. As a full-time writer or author and getting into a genre, making your network. So that transition was the difficult part, but sitting and writing the stories, I just loved it.
How many stories are there in that book?
In Not Really Indian, there are 10 stories. So I have it here with me.
Oh, lovely.
And the cover also has bits of because each story is set in a different country because it's according to the woman's experience with India and the country she's settled in or not settled in. And it also, the most favorite story among readers is called Goodbye First Love, which is actually a slight memoir when my parents and my brother and I, we moved to Indonesia in 1989. So it's set in a flashback mode and it has 10 stories, all 10 different women characters. Yeah, but also a fun fact, Not Really Indian, this is the second avatar. The first avatar is actually a novel.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a big full-flown novel of 68,000 words, but it was more of a memoir and I felt hesitant to put my life out there a little bit. So I converted into 10 short stories instead.
Okay. So that's the first book.
Yeah, so that didn't come out. That's still in my laptop.
Okay, then it's
yeah.
I thought it was already out. Okay.
I started writing that first and then converted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it like writing for the adults and for children? Because you've also written a book for children, right? How does that vary, and which one is your favorite? Which one do you enjoy more? And what is Who and How about?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that because many don't ask this question, which I enjoy writing more. I like writing for children, but I prefer writing for adults, and I'll tell you why. Because children, it's I think there is you have to be a bit more careful with what you word, and there's a theme. And sometimes you need to know which audience group you're writing for, right? Like if it's a baby book or 3 to 5 or preteen or young adult now, which is very popular among Indian readers. So I feel a bit restrictive in the sense that I have to be, I can't be wild in my thoughts and imagination as much. In a more within limits basically. So Who and How interestingly came about because my son is a picky eater and we always had to make stories when feeding him. And Who and How was actually started by my husband. He used to say there was a bear and a cow called Who and How. They got lost, and when they asked him, "Who are you?" he said, "Who?" But the person said, "No, I mean, who are you?" And he used to say, "Fine," or "How are you?" Meaning like, So it was like a play on Who and How. I've named them HOO and HAOU, but it's actually the WHO and HOW.
Okay. I thought there was a Chinese character. How? Okay.
No. So if you read the story, when they get lost, they keep asking, "Who are you?"
Right.
And instead of saying their name, they say their name, "Who?" And they were like, "But who are you?" So that used to make my son laugh and eat, and that's how that story was born. And
in Chinese, how means good. Ni hao.
Oh.
Are you good? How are you?
Yeah.
Ni hao.
How are you? Right. Okay. No, but not related to Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do enjoy writing adult stories more. Adult fiction is my where my heart lies. I think more because I take a lot of inspiration from real life, and when I go in the metro or I'm just going in the supermarket, a lot of the characters and the nuances comes in, which I love writing about. I find that good. And the stories for children that I write, it comes unplanned. Just sometimes it comes up and I write it on a notepad, because if they are short, you don't need to formally sit and plan. So that bit is nice. But if you ask me a preference, I prefer adult fiction writing.
How was it published, Subhashini? Was it published traditionally, or you published investing your
own money?
So Not Really Indian was published through Notion Press, which is self-publishing only.
Okay.
But the interesting part was they did give editing services, which I really wanted. Because I didn't feel confident enough putting it out there without having an editor look through the book. So it included editing, cover design, and some marketing, which also included it in stores. So it's not a pure Kindle format. It had both Kindle and paperback.
Print on demand, right? Print on demand.
Print on demand.
Okay.
Print on demand, and they also showcased it in the Kerala Book Fair and Delhi Book.
Okay.
That was also experience.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. So you spoke about you having written a memoir and then converting to a set of short stories, right? So when you write a memoir, it's like you said, it's more like putting yourself out. And when you have a short story, you still can play with a little bit of stuff. Like you still have the freedom of, keeping your feelings or even your emotions anonymous and showing it through different sides of different characters.
Yeah.
How and why did you did you change it into a short story collection so that you would be able to see the same situation from different characters' eyes or from different perspectives, or did you just feel like it is better if you didn't put yourself out? What was the reason for that conversion?
No, I think it's the first one. I thought there was more freedom for me to showcase different aspects of the character, and I didn't completely rip apart the memoir bits. There are two stories in this book, which is Goodbye First Love and the last one, which is Not Really Indian, which have a bit of my life story in it. But I felt, like you said, more freedom in and more complexity in having it over 10 characters, 10 stories. Portraying each one in a different setting or a different dilemma that they go through. And lastly, I also felt that writing in short stories allowed me to give different messages in each one and play with the plot. So like the first one in the story is actually, it's a very unexpected ending. And actually throughout the book, you will see that most of them have unexpected endings. And I like that, I like to give that twist. Whereas in a novel, you see it in only 2 or 3 places over the whole thing. But I liked it that every story gives you that messaging and a twist in the plot. So those were the 2 main reasons that I converted.
How many times do you? Sorry,
you can go on.
No, you do it.
Okay. So, and because it was a memoir, there might have been though the readers might not know, it was a memoir converted into a short story collection, you will still have a little bit of reality checks, right? Because this has already happened in your life, so you will still have reality checks, and you might feel a little bit different because when the actual event was happening, your mindset or the way you looked at it must have been completely different from how you wrote it.
Yes.
So now, did that hinder your creativity? Did that conversion of a memoir into a short story, were there places where you thought, no, I don't want it to be too real, let me just make it a little bit of fiction, let me just exaggerate it, or let me just make it a little bit different from what actually happened?
Yeah, it did. I don't think it was a hindrance. I think it was an advantage because I could add more drama at my will, but limited drama, not like, a soap
Cinematic.
soap episode type of drama, soap opera type of a drama. But it did give me, I didn't see it as a hindrance though. It did give me the leeway, if I may say, to add a little bits of drama and as realistic as possible to those characters in the story and to those situations in the story. In the memoir, it is real. It did have the drama as well, but I just felt like it was, when I was writing it, it was reflective of what had happened in the emotions, but that is also reflected in these stories just over the course of the whole book. So and through the characters' lenses. So I actually enjoyed writing it more here because I didn't feel I was putting so much of myself out there. So it gave me more of an advantage, is what I felt, more than a hindrance.
Is this book, you said your own autobiographical or memoir, is it coming out? Are you planning to publish it?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I was thinking I'll publish it as chapters, maybe on my on a website or on self-publishing. I don't know if it will go the traditional publishing route, but I have been thinking about it, what to do
Those
about them.
chapters have any fictional elements to it?
Yeah, they have fictional elements.
Then it's no more memoir in my understanding.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not too important. So how many times do you really rewrite your stories, and have they been published in various media like internet, magazine, print media and all, or do you take them directly to a book?
No, I do both. The short stories that I had written for Not Really Indian have been published, but I also have written a couple of short stories for Readomania. I am a featured writer for them. And I also write quite a bit on my social media page. I do Sunday shorts, which is very tiny tales.
Yeah, I've read it.
That I write. And I also have entered in a couple of short story writing contests with publishers like Half Baked Beans or writer communities like Penmancy. So they have also been received well. And I recently wanted to start writing for Mom's Presso because there's so much of my motherhood stories that I want to get out there and maybe write beyond my social media page. Yeah, but the stories that I've written, just short stories, I did iterate them a couple of times. So the way I do it, I wrote it and then I don't touch it for a month, almost, so that I can come back with it with fresh set of eyes and thoughts and reflect upon the writing. So each story, I think a couple of them I had rewritten maybe 3 or 4 times, more around fine tuning and looking at different endings, possible endings for the stories. Those were the iterations that happened for the first book, Not Really Indian.
Do you have any beta readers before you release it to the public?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That's good.
I did it for Not Really Indian, and I have done it for my second book as well. So the second book is a full-blown novel, and I did send it to not too many, maybe it's a group of 5 or 6 beta readers. I don't know the correct number, but yeah, they've given me my feedback, and then only I took it to an agent. So
okay. So it's published. Is it published? The full-fledged novel?
No.
Not yet.
No. Not yet. It's with the agent right now. So it will be pitched to publishers soon.
So, like when you said, like we were talking about the first book, and we will talk about the children's book also. See, when you're doing a memoir, your research would have been more of a reflection and recollecting the right events, which will add, that, like you said, drama to the memoir. But for a short story and for a children's fiction book, you must have gone through some form of research.
Yeah.
Right. How did that research go, and what type of research do you have to do to add on to that?
Yeah, so two of the stories here were my own, taken from my inspiration from my life. So I didn't do much research for them. But for the rest of them, I started with writing a one-liner about what the story would be, and then what messaging I wanted, or what twist I wanted in the end. And then I did do a lot of observations in those scenarios and talk to friends who, for example, were bankers in Wall Street and then moved to Bombay to become bankers in Bombay. Or I had, a stint in India while I was in US, where I worked with the offshore team in India. So one of the stories called Offshore, it takes inspiration from a colleague I knew who had gone through a similar experience. So there is a bit of secondary research in terms of the locations that are the stories are set in terms of, say, the restaurants that they would have gone to, or the settings, the pictorial aspects of it. But the first, the research about the characters are taken with conversations with friends or colleagues, or people I have observed. So those are the two main sources of research for the set of stories.
And about the children's book, was there any research involved there?
No, this children's book was basically just taking inspiration from the play of language and creative elements in it. There was not much research.
That book published, Subhashini, how was it published? With illustrations, print?
Yes, with illustrations. So I did my own illustrations.
It entered
So it entered a contest on Storyweaver, which is the online version of Pratham Books. And they were running a contest about for new writers, and I published, and then it was received very well. So I think the play of words is the funny aspect of it, and I just did that. But I have written two more which have not been published, children's book, and that I did extensive research, because one is about multilingual children, and the other one is written about screen time and children. So for that, I had to do my research in terms of getting statistics about how screen time has increased during the pandemic for children and even for adults, and what effects it's having. It's a fiction, both are fiction stories, but I had to do that kind of research to back it up when I'm trying to pitch to publishers. So
you're mentioning 3 children's books. One is published, 2 others are getting ready.
Yeah, 2 others are.
And I want to know about the age group it is.
Catering to.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, both are catering to probably 3 to 6-year-old children.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am also learning in this industry. So I did a lot of, I did attend a lot of sessions by children writers and publishers, where they talk about what is in demand and how they decide which age group it belongs to. One is the word count. Obviously, it's a bigger book for a 3 to 5 versus a baby book. And the writing style, it will not simply be a rhyme or it will be more sentences per page. So there's a whole lot of literature about writing for children, which is very different from obviously writing for adults. So the other 2 books, hopefully, let's see if I've not pursued publishers actively for that, but those 2 are written. Let me see how to go about that.
So now we have to talk about Women for Women, Subhashini. Did the book inspire that, what's Insta Live, right? Did the book inspire that, or are they both any interconnected or not? You may want to tell us more about that. Women for Women.
Sure. I think the reaction of readers after reading Not Really Indian is what inspired Women for Women. So when you look at the online reviews or sales of the book, you don't realize who your audience is. But the 2 book fairs that I attended, I really understood who buys my book, because what they do is they look for the cover. First, it's like the cover, if they like it. Actually, even before the cover, they directly go to fiction or non-fiction. That's one, that's it's like how they choose online. You can see it physically happen. Then they see the cover, and then they see the blurb, and then they start reading the first chapter. So I was observing this, and I hardly had male readers, and I could see from the reviews who reached out to me saying, it could be anybody. Like there was one Indian who had come for a holiday, and she had come to the Delhi book fair, and she was like, oh my God, I can relate to this because I live in Canada. I've kept my family here. I am caught in between guilt trips because, I feel Canada is my home too, but I have a responsibility to my parents. So she said, I love it. And she kept in touch with me. So these reviews, I felt like, maybe as someone who's new to the industry, I also wanted to build my target audience. I know I'm putting that hat on, sorry about that, but it also felt practical to do it. The second one is more of an emotional one, is because I think even if we are all in the same industries, women should be supporting each other. You always see uses of words like cat fights, and a woman cannot encourage others. They can't wear the same clothes. What is that? No, if you're in the same, it's not so. Yeah, why stereotype us like that? Exactly. So I did it that way because that's also one thinking that I wanted to break, where I believe, like, Jayanti, you were on it as well. And it felt great because at the end of the day, we're all writing fiction, but that doesn't mean we're competing. We can learn from each other. So
of course,
if you have that attitude, I think you can grow. And that was the other reason that I started it. So
that's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
So how has that helped you in your writing? Like, how has connecting with other women helped you in your writing journey? And has it helped? Has social media and that helped you?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think it's a bit of both. I'll talk about the hindrance as well, but the advantage is you get direct feedback, which is really good. It's encouraging as well as, it helps you want to do better, which I think is good. Women in particular, it's again, you're taking, if I have authors on board, then I'm actually learning from their experience, how to pitch to publishers. Or the last session we had, we talked about how to pitch to production houses. Well, how is it different? So, that is a learning experience, and that will help my writing also. Second is, they're all from different walks of life, which means they have stories to tell, which means that's what an author needs, right? Observations and stories to add on to maybe my fourth book or fifth book, whenever that story materializes. And the hindrance of social media, I feel, is, sometimes you're just so caught up with likes and comments and shares, those statistics. I think if you set that apart, it can actually help you grow. If you put sometimes I did a series called Love Bites for the month of love in February. And while the first two stories were received very well, the last two stories, for some reason, no one liked it, no one shared it. And I was demotivated. But then I realized, this is part of it. You just have to brush it off and move on. But if you take that to your head, I think it can be detrimental, which I don't know how influencers and all those people do it, but it's the other side of it.
So what were the most challenging phases of actual book making? Like, you did it in Notion Press, and was the process enjoyable for you? In what way it was?
See, the writing and creating part was very enjoyable. I loved talking about the cover design and looking through different colors and arguing about how red is more attractive and things like that. I loved doing it. Reiterations were difficult, going through editing versions, sometimes you just want to be done with it, but you also want the best product out there. And I feel like sometimes as a writer, you feel like there's never a best product, you can keep reiterating, keep improving. Yeah. So that I found challenging. And I also found the marketing bit very challenging. And I think that's why when people ask, is it very new to you, the industry? I said, yeah, of course, because selling a book is very different from thinking about a loan or a deposit, or it's very different, especially especially when the book came out. 2 months later, it was pandemic. Everything was locked down. No more lit fairs, no more book fairs, no more networking,
I
full
know.
time, jadu pocha, sweeping and mopping and whatnot. So, but then I learned that at that time, Kindle sales were the way to go. So I made my book free for the 1.5 months that that there were no books allowed to be bought on Amazon. I just said, keep it free for those 1.5, 2 months. And interestingly enough, there were a lot of downloads, which meant that people started enjoying and started talking about it word of mouth. And then the sales picked up the months after. So these are all, just things that I learned and picked up afterwards. So yeah, those are the challenges. I still find the marketing and branding myself and telling people to pick up a book very difficult.
Yes.
I'm still learning that. In writing bit, I still enjoy a lot, thankfully, having got into this now. I really enjoy stories. And I was telling Jayanti before, we started that I'm writing a non-fiction. So that's a different challenge altogether. You don't have the leeway of drama or any of it. It's content, a pure researched content, footnoted, well anecdoted content. So that's a different challenge altogether, but I love it. I love the writing part, the marketing and the reiterating. I'm not so sure, but yeah, I hope I'll get there too. So,
so like when you write a kids book and simultaneously write a novel, see, you should have a very different, like a cycle, like a very different mindset to write one than the other.
Yeah.
So how were you able to switch? If you were doing it simultaneously, like writing this and that simultaneously, were you able to switch, or did you just write one, finish it, then write the other?
Sorry, your voice is breaking up in between. So in between what? Short stories and novel, or?
No, novel and your children fiction, like kid fiction.
Okay.
Kids book.
Okay.
So how were you able to switch? How were you able to like stop? Like, because there are parts of your brain that you have to stop from speaking up when you're writing for kids, and there are parts of your brain that you have to switch off when you're writing for adults. And also for non-fiction. Like, how were you able to switch from this to that? If you were writing them simultaneously,
no, I was not writing simultaneously. So when I was writing the list of the short stories anthology, I was not writing children's stories simultaneously. So switching between children's story and fiction, I find easier than switching between fiction and non-fiction. That I'm finding more challenging because of the short form of children's stories. It is much easier to just get it out of the system, write it on a notepad, and then come back to it later with more research or add more rhyme or add more, nuances that makes it more child friendly. So switching between writing fiction and children's stories, I didn't feel that bad because of the time it takes to write the stories, and the research involved is different. But yes, I find it more challenging to do fiction writing and non-fiction. That's why I finished my second one and I've started fresh with the third one, which is non-fiction. So yeah,
that is the work in progress, right? We were about to ask you about what is the work in progress. So tell us more about this co-authoring experience and the theme of it. So when this book can be expected?
So yeah, it started off interestingly because she's a professor and she's also a mindfulness expert. So I honestly did not want to take it on because I love writing fiction and I'm also more of a fiction reader than a non-fiction reader. But the messaging that she had was very persuasive, especially in the times that we are in. I think so much stress post-pandemic, how to deal with it, and especially with moms. I'm putting that angle in because I could relate to it. Being at home, trying to do something with their career, but also having to manage kids 24/7, it was hard. And I saw a personality change in myself. So I took that project on. Co-authoring has been good because I think we bring complementary skills to the table, and that's why it's worked, because she has all the content and the expertise, and I am learning on that front but I can bring the creative writing aspect to the table. That's why she contacted me, because she read Not Really Indian and she loved it, and she wanted to bring those creative writing elements to her book. It took me quite actually 4-5 months to actually get on board, because I was not utterly convinced that I would, I would be able to add that much value beyond creative writing. But I realized that if a non-fiction book should come out, there should also be someone on the receiving end, especially for like things like self-help. You should be able to bring out that story that it has worked for you. So I'm able to bring that aspect of storytelling as well into it, because now I'm trying to implement whatever she has, told about the activities or the meditations that can help. And I'm able to bring the effects, personal effects, into the writing as well. So
where is she from? Where is she from?
Yeah, she is based out of LA, but she does she shuttles between Hyderabad and LA, because she teaches as well in ISB Hyderabad. So
okay. So that is the book in progress, right?
yes, that is the in progress one, correct.
Yes. So when can we read that book? Any plans?
Yeah, before that, I'm hoping my second one will come out, because that's the third one. Second one is a novel, which is completed, and it is in language edit version Rao with the agent. And I took a different approach this time. Instead of going self-publishing or reaching out to publishers on my own, I went with an agent who also believed in the story. So I'm hoping that it'll be helpful this time to get a traditional publisher on board, so that it will also educate me on how things are done once you get with a traditional publisher, how it is promoted, how it's edited, how the plot can be more stronger and things like that. So I'm also learning.
Agent is UK based or
no, India based, because the story is India. And before I signed on before I moved to the UK in August of last year.
Okay.
He is based out of India, Delhi. So,
So if you don't mind, do you want to share with the aspiring authors the process involved in this agent?
Finding an agent.
Is it just a contract? Is it a paid one? Is it a period bound? How is it?
Yeah, I think agents, my experience has been good so far. It's helpful to make that connect, especially if you are new to the industry like I am, or second, if you're writing a genre that's different from what you've written before. I think it's very helpful. And agents also have their own selective process, right? It's not like they will take up every manuscript. So my personal experience was I entered all these contests. This was a pitch your book contest, and the manuscript that I pitched did well, and the agent took me on because he liked the story. And so the agent, I think it also do your research and network. I think this cold DMing on social media is also good. You can talk to them, you can see the content that they post, or you can email them. I do that, and I know sometimes it always doesn't work. Sometimes you get a rejection, or sometimes they say, no, I can't take it on board, but at least you've tried.
Yes.
And at least you try to make that connect. And also the research you should do, I think, is the type of publications they have helped in the past. Like, was it nonfiction? Was it horror? Was it chick lit? What was it? And I think different agents operate differently. Some take an upfront fee and nothing else. Or which is more popular method of payment is they take a percentage of your royalties when you get that upfront. Not not royalties beyond the upfront payment, just the percentage of the upfront payment, and then whatever is beyond that payment is for the author's earnings.
How long is this contract between you and the agent valid? And
yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
Yeah. So how long is it valid, and how often does he or she reach out to you to give any feedbacks that she gets the other side from the publishers?
Yeah, so it is it's a period of 12 to 16 months. So 1 year and then extendable to 4 months, depending on. This particular year, there have been delays because of the pandemic. Even the feedback the agent gave me is things are going 2 to 3 months, in backlog because of the pandemic. Many new releases weren't put on hold. And I think my interaction with him has been more recent right now, because he took 3 months to review the potential of the manuscript and how it will be. And now we are coming to a stage where it's almost finished editing. That he's done the language edits and it's getting pitched to publishers. So now the interaction is more. There was a gap where his team was doing the work, and then now it is more around. I think it'll increase now because he'll start pitching it to publishers. But I can say that I'm learning a lot because he knows the trends. He knows which publishers want what. Also, he knows when they're busy and they won't look at it. And even if there is a publisher that has approached me separately for the manuscript, I put him in the loop and also get his advice on what do you think, will this be a good fit for my story. So those are the things.
Yeah, sorry.
Those things I don't think I would have gotten if I tried it on my own.
You said about language editing. So what's happening there? Is there any compromises that you have to go through, or what it is? Are you accepting all the suggestions? Are you declining some of them?
No, so far the language edit has not compromised on any story bits. It's more in terms of, I say, correcting any errors that could have been missed by me. And also I think a big part of it is it reduces redundancies. For example, I think I talked about a character in the first 3 chapters. I mentioned her head shaking thing about 9 to 10 times. Now they've cut that. And I realized, it added no value. And I also put in my demand that I have used Hindi phrases and Tamil phrases because of the way the characters are made. And I want that to be still in there. I don't want it out. So that I'm not compromising on. So that they have agreed and they have not changed. But things like these redundancies and grammatical mistakes, which I also missed with my I love that. So it's not too much of a compromise now. I think when it goes into copy edit, maybe when they talk about stories or changing chapters here and there, that time it will be more of a discussion with
interesting. So
I just have one last question, and I think then we can move on to the word of the next segment of the episode. The last question that I would like to ask you is, you said you had done your own illustration, right? How did that come up? Because it is a little different for an illustrator who is already experienced to make illustrations, and for an author to make the illustrations themselves. So did you have to design the characters and all that, or did you at least have, like, you just had the idea and you made someone else do it for you?
No, so basically when there were 2 options for because that was also through a contest that I entered in. So I could use stock images or I could do my own. And I tried it with stock images. It was just not giving that. And I'm not a great artist either, but it gave more character. There's a story. It might have been more rudimentary, but at least it gave more character. And also the way I did it was, it was based on a cow and a bear, the story. So I had those soft toys at home and I did still life drawing. And I just repeated that across the stories in different ways and different settings. It might have not been perfect, but I think it was better than using those stock photo images. And also, since this is Story Weaver, which is your online, there's no physical book. So basically this is who and how they can download anytime and read it to the children. So it was easier because I could just scan it and put it in. Obviously, if it was supposed to be a picture book or paperback, I would have definitely gone with an experienced illustrator, would not have done it myself. But because of the format and because stock images didn't work out, I did this, and it was more looking at the soft voice and imagining the different settings and
Because you said bull and like bear and cow, I thought because of your banking background and your mind was set to the bull and bear, like the comparison, the share market.
Yeah.
But now I realize it's because that was what was available to you as soft toys in your home. That is what my mind first connected to, because we know that your boy was bad, it was a banking background, so I thought, okay, subconsciously your mind picked those two characters or something.
Yeah, but I do. I think writing. The other thing, when we talked about switching industries, writing is slightly a lonely profession, I feel, because you get to connect with other authors, of course, but it is something you do in silo, right? You write as a individual. You don't like go to an office, interact with people. There's no, that I really do miss from a career or a whatever, banking or consulting, whatever it might be. That environment of adult company, it is a little bit of a lonely profession, I feel, writing.
Yes, maybe it's because we are more in interaction with our own characters than with actual people, especially if it's fiction. Maybe even at the research stage you will have people around, but when the actual writing starts, it's just
you are in silo, right? Yes.
So, I think we can go on to the next segment of World of W's. World of W's is nothing but W questions like what, when, where, how. So if someone couldn't sit through the entire session, they could just scroll down here and get a gist of what we've spoken about through the entire session. So what is your next book, and what is the name of the next book, and what is it about?
Okay, so second, the book is called A Second Chance. It is a novel. It's a coming of age love story, and I hope it was break some stereotypes once you read it. So that that's what inspired the story, and I hope it'll come out soon. That's fingers crossed. Yeah.
Oh, so where can readers find your books, works, articles, any?
So Not Really Indian is on Amazon. It is on Amazon India as well as UK and worldwide. And in the it's not in stores anymore. It's only on Kindle and paperback online. That's for Not Really Indian. My short stories are published with Readomania on their website. It's called The Elevator Pitch, and the second one is a young adult story which is called Flames. And then it's also my social media page, which I write the Sunday shorts and maybe other themed stories. And my handle is @it's me, Subhashini.
So how do you promote the book to social media? Do you have like a set number of posts, you call it plans? You have like reviews lined up? How does that promotion through social media go through for you?
So I learned it on the go with my first one. I did the reviews bit. I talked to bookstagrammers who also have a lot of reader base who promoted my book. But I think the best way it has worked is word of mouth. And also, like I mentioned, that giving it for free for that 1 month, although I took a hit, it just, people start talking about it because it was so easy to download. They liked it, then they told their friends to buy it. So Kindle sales have done really well. And I think one aspect that I didn't count on is the libraries. In India, there's this there's this concept of online libraries where you can become members and then they deliver it to your house and they can pick it up also. So a couple of those online libraries do have my book. So it's nice in the sense that it can be reread. It might not help with your sales, but it is out there. And in terms of social media, the way I have done it is I also have started connecting with people who manage media. So if there are opportunities like where your book is out and they are looking for debut authors to feature, and you can send them the copy and then they they talk about it, like how Outlook India had done.
Mhm.
And also, so that was a good learning for me. I think
Mhm.
I'll do it a little bit more differently for the second book. I think it'll be more structured. Like you
Mhm.
said, have reviewers in place, have the book launch, or all online, virtually only, book launch, and book clubs. I think book clubs have been really good for even not really Indian, because uh, it's a close group who all buy the book and read the book. And then they're also your voice, because then they tell a bigger group of readers. So that's what you want, right? So that has also helped. And I think I'll just use the learnings and hopefully learn from the publisher also how to market it going forward. So.
Your dream book, apart from all those books you've mentioned in the session, you might be having something in your mind in the longer vision.
Yeah.
So do you have one such book, and can you share with us if you have any?
Yeah. I think a dream book is actually something I have in mind a little bit. It's crime, and I don't know how I'm going to write it, but I have a story in mind already.
Then it's halfway through.
Yeah,
Do
I have
some
like two
research
or
and
three
that's it.
characters in mind, but I
Okay.
don't know if I'm equipped to write crime fiction. I would love
Oh,
to do it.
characters
But
are there. Crime is not yet there. Crime will be the main character, right? Anyways, that's very interesting. I mean,
Yeah, so I
to
would love to write that. That's my
yes,
dream.
look forward to. So
It's so
lovely,
good. It's so good
Subhashini.
to know that you keep shifting genres, and it's not easy.
Yeah,
Like you said,
yeah, yeah.
there are very few people who do like this. You who actually move from one genre to the other. People easily, like me, any writer would
They
get
get stuck
complacent.
in
Yeah,
one.
we get
Yes,
complacent with that one particular comfortable zone.
you
So
should
it
be
is really
consciously doing.
hearty that,
Very
yeah,
nice. Very
especially
nice.
going from fiction to non-fiction, it's a little bit of a
Yeah,
leap, I can say.
that I still
Mm-mm-mm.
find challenging, because the leeway is very little. The boundaries are by much more.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, fiction to non-fiction, but I do enjoy it. I feel like more than a genre, if there's a compelling story enough that I have, then it just
Mhm.
needs to be told in whatever form. So
Mm.
that's what's driving me.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, yeah,
That's
definitely.
good.
So
Fantastic.
I
So
think we have come to the end of our session. If you have anything to tell our, audience who will be aspiring authors, and you can share the experience that you had with us in this session.
yeah, I think one of the thing is keep reading, keep writing, and keep reading. I think do it for yourself. Don't think about, like, making it a bestseller, or some production house is going to. I think that's the wrong motivator. Keep your creative energy flowing and keep doing it. I think you will find the right audience if you write the story well. But also, I think be very open. I know some writers who are very close. They just want to write in that genre, or they just want to write the way without getting any feedback. I think be like a sponge, learn more, be open to unlearning. So that is one thing. And I think the biggest learning for me in this industry is to be patient. It's one of the most slow moving industries I have been, been exposed to. So God, I don't know. I'm not a very patient person, but I'm trying very hard to acquire that skill. So
Maybe because the results are intangible, it looks like it is a long time, and we're used to tangible results, and we have,
yes,
quantifiable results. So maybe that's why it looks that
yeah,
way.
exactly. And in a banking and consulting, the feedback is also not a creative feedback, right? It is actual 1, 2, 3, very precise, easy next steps to take. So that is a bit of an unlearning for me as well, and I'm learning ongoing.
nice.
How did you feel about the session with us? And how was the session for you?
It was very good. I do quite a few sessions, but I think this was very nice and catered. It was very specific to my journey, and made me reflect quite a bit, about switching genres or writing whatever memoir inspired stories. So thank you for that. And thank you for this exposure that you're giving writers. You know, I think we all need it to learn from each other and to tell our experiences to the world. So thank you so much.
Welcome. Best wishes for your journey.
Thank you so
Stopping
much.
the recording and stopping the recording.